So I got the recording on, and it's going to record to the cloud if I even get disconnected. So we'll be able to get the whole thing, even if I drop out at some point in time. But the clinic was called the Clinicians at College, and it was built around the idea of putting ourselves in a little bit of the examiner role and looking at all of the MA portion of it, all three parts, the MA portion of it, the teach portion of it, except we kind of lightly talked about the teach. And then today was all about tasks and how we would judge tasks. And the idea is that as level three instructors, we are also have to put on our clinician's hat. So, and this is an opportunity for us to build our skills and build awareness about how we judge our candidates. That's going to be a lot more objective, and it was built around it was almost entirely around level two process. But there's a lot of things that translate over to the level three process. So it was really nice to connect the scorecards to the performance guides and then using those as a framework to look at skiers in both of an MA portion of it and through the skiing portion of it. We didn't really touch on the teach that much because frankly we just didn't have the time, and it's just a 2-day. So the first part of it was an MA. Basically, we broke out into there was a person who's going to lead the MA, who's going to do a level 2 MA. There were two people that acted as clinicians, and then the rest of us and there was one person who was a skier that would perform a task, and then the rest of us, which was, 4 other folks, would act as observers, and then also offer, their own insights of what they saw and heard from the examiners, and as well as the person performing the MA, and which was really nice because it got us a chance to look at the scorecards and say, hey man, these are the things that are present. These are the things that we're going to be scoring towards, and then putting a score to that MA portion of it. So I'm going to go ahead and throw the scorecard into the chat, and this can be help as to help you. If you notice on the scorecard, oh, I already had it up. Is that the scorecard?
Well, I will say,
We'll go ahead
Chuck,
and throw it
it
into the chat.
sounds very interesting to me. I would have
Yeah.
loved to have been there myself.
Honestly, it's a little bit, I was a little nervous rolling into this. I did not know what to expect, right? Um, but I ended up being, it was run by somebody by the name of Jessica Sartell, who is a central examiner as well as a Rocky Mountain clinician, who teaches both out of some areas up here in the Minnesota region as well as Steamboat. As a matter of fact, she's connected to Deb Armstrong and helps with her Ski Strong clinics whenever those are available, and is a very, very capable clinician. And I thought she did a magnificent job. So I thought that was really cool. Cool. Is that you, Mike, that's doing that right there? Or is
Yeah,
that Dio? Yeah.
I was trying to bring the stuff up and I'm losing it here.
But Dione, are you ready now? We've lost her again. So anyway, today what we did in the clinic was we had a little bit more time. We spent most of the day working on we chose some individual tasks. We chose some versatility. Obviously, we have the versatility tasks. The centrals for versatility tasks are built around different kinds of turn shapes and funnels and lane changes instead of, there we go. And scroll all the way down, Mike. So the assessment form for And these are things that you guys should be already doing. The absorb to describe, the evaluate and describe, and the prescription for change. And if you look at the performance attributes for each one of those criteria, um, actually under observe and describe, you should be looking at ski performance, and then you should be looking at body performance. And then under the evaluate, you're going to make a connection the between the ski performance and the body performance. And then in the prescription for change, which was something that you should be looking at also and talking about also. So it was kind of interesting. We had some really, really accurate because mostly level threes that were in this group. And so we had some really, really accurate MAs. But there was always some pieces and parts that were missing. And for the most part, it was kind of funny that the prescription for change was the key ingredient that was mostly missing or was kind of lightly touched upon, but wasn't completely filled out. So I thought it was a really, really good clinic. I got a lot out of it. It's kind of nice to be able to talk about the process a little bit and so that it's not completely subjective because, one of the things we hear all the time is how this is, it's a very subjective process. It's not, it's more objective than you think it is. And they kind of divide it out. All right. Dione says that she's going to have to restart her computer. She can't find her microphone. It's going
So
to be a
I
silent
will
talk for a minute.
I'll
I'm good
throw
at
this
talking.
out, Chuck.
Yeah.
I was working with a bunch of level one people earlier than the week. And when it comes to the MA piece, their ability to observe and describe one, at least one technical fundamental, sometimes two, was pretty good. The weak part was under the evaluation and describe. And specifically, it was really between the cause and effect relationship within a fundamental
Hmm.
and as it pertains to the biomechanics, how they would
Yeah.
move themselves. And pretty much across the board, I really felt and encouraged them to go out and choose a fundamental, go out and ski it and analyze what you have to do with your body to make that fundamental happen.
Yeah.
Where are
Yeah.
your ankles bent? Where is your knee bent? What is your hip doing? What is your pelvis doing?
So a lot of the things that I saw or listened to in our group was very similar to what this group does. We're pretty good and strong on the bio or on the mechanic pieces or how the body moves. It was the ski that was kind of like the thing that was missing, how the skis move through the space. And they didn't always make a good connection between what the skis were doing and what the body was doing. So
Hmm.
I thought that was very, very interesting too. So a lot of the same things that are struggles here in this group that people are running into are things that are, I mean, these are all people that are, you know, not all of them were level three, but most of them were level three and are already running clinics with instructors. And for the most part, they had very accurate language, but they always seemed to be missing something. It was kind of ironic. So I did not perform an MA. So anyway,
That's only because you didn't want to show them up.
I did the first one as a clinician. So that was kind of almost it was almost cheating because there's a lot of things I do here. So anyway, there's Dion.
Dion's
Hopefully
back.
got she's got a computer up. I hope she has a microphone now.
Hey guys, can you hear me?
There we go.
We
Yeah, I
hear,
can hear
but
you.
we're
We can
not
hear you.
sure we comprehend.
That is a different problem.
Be
Loud
nice.
and clear.
So cool. I'm glad that Dione here is now here so she can kind of take over. Do you feel good about
Sorry,
that,
guys, I
Dione?
had to actually forward this to the work computer
Oh,
because my laptop decided it couldn't find my microphone.
yeah, that happens.
Okay. So
So
where are we
anyway,
at,
Mike,
Gumby? Sorry I was delayed.
well, basically what I was doing was explaining this kind of clinicians college that I went to this weekend, and kind of explaining how that was working and what are some of the things that we did. And, kind of buying you some time. And Mike, if you could go ahead and throw back up that video, that would be great. Oh,
Well, apparently I lost it again, so give me a second. I will bring it back up.
so anybody got any teaches they did that they wanted to share this weekend? Oh, we got it back up. And that's fine if you don't want to share anything. It's fine. By the way, Kelby has for you if you didn't hear Dion, Kelby has her ski on Tuesday,
Yeah.
Whoop, whoop, whoop.
and she's hoping to get signed up for the MA because she's getting in some encouragement there. And Peter had some apparently had some really good success with the MA portion of his teach, but was unsuccessful with the teaching portion. And Kelby was a direct result of leading a group, and Peter really, really liked what she had to say. That catches you back up.
Okay, I'm in on it now. So I take it we are watching Leon here do shorts.
Yeah, he's attempting to do something, yes. So take it
Okay.
away, Dion.
Hey, Mike, did you happen to put that link in the chat?
Chuck put it in the chat, and so I just dropped it from his chat into the screen. So
Cool.
do
Would you
you
mind
have it?
reposting it? Because I don't have it.
Let me repost then. Try that.
Thank you, my friend. Oh, yeah. It's not clear on my So my guess is Leon here is doing level 2 shorts, but I could be incorrect on that. So who wants to talk about Leon? Does anybody want to say anything about him to start off? What are we seeing in the short turns? Crickets. Excellent. All right. Who's going to exam?
Okay, I will.
You can do it.
And Leon's turns. He's performing a kind of short to medium radius turn. Looks like on a blue. Is that Kramer?
It's at Steamboat, so
Oh, never mind. Um, so overall picture, I see upper body rotation. The tips converge at the top of the turn, so that tells me the upper body's rotating because of that upper body rotation. That tells me he's falling in and pressuring the inside ski more than the outside ski. You can see the slight up extension at the top of his turn. So that tells me he gets centered over the ski at the top, and then as he comes around the bottom half of the turn, you can see he's overflexed at that knee joint, and you see more of the tip of the ski than the tail. So that tells me the ski's bending from behind. In regards to the magnitude, due to the extension at the top, I can tell the skis are very light when it comes to the ski to snow contact. As he flexes when he gets to the bottom of the turn, the skis get very heavy. And basically it's wash, rinse, repeat on every side. You can see the converge, particularly when he turns to the left, the little baby wedge. So that's kind of the overall big picture.
Okay, that is a pretty good big picture. One thing that I think could help clean it up is if we could talk about specifically the ski performance, because I heard a lot of body performance other than the converging thing. So, is there anyone else in the audience who wants to talk about the rotary performance of the skis?
I see most of the turning at the it's more of a skidding, but it's mostly at the shaping phase, and then at the beginning of the finish phase.
Okay. So the skis, are they turning slowly through the shaping phase? Are they turning rapidly? Are they turning both at the same time?
They're turning rapidly in a skidding motion.
Kelby, do you want to add a detail to that description?
Yep. So particularly when the skier turns to the left, you see the outside ski rotate before the inside ski at the initiation. As the skier comes through the shaping phase, the inside ski abruptly twists to catch up. And then as the skier moves from shaping to finish, the skis slowly rotate together.
Good on it. That is really accurate. So the part that you mentioned that I actually find really interesting in your MA, the first round, Kelby, was you talked about a big pressure spike and you talked about magnitude. What I'm interested in is, can you tie that idea of magnitude to the rotary?
So I think the same thing happens with as that outside ski turns, you're starting to brace against it. So the magnitude is great at the top, particularly for the outside ski. So it's got much more pressure on it than the inside ski. But as continuing with magnitude, but as the skier comes through the initiation to shaping, due to, and this is where I'm bringing in kind of the other fundamental, due to the banking and upper body inclination, the magnitude gets heavy on the inside ski at the shaping.
So that's a good description of the ski to ski pressure.
Mm-hmm.
You talked about overall magnitude in your first description.
Mm-hmm.
And you talked about a big extension.
The fore aft. Yeah.
Which is when I make my skis really light, what's it allow them to do in the realm of rotary?
It allows them to turn quickly.
So when he extends, that fact that he makes his skis so light at the top of the turn allows that pivot to happen. And then all of that pressure comes, like there's a way more pressure overall in the bottom of his turn.
Mm-hmm.
And that gives him a platform to extend back off of. And that extension, yeah, it's coupled with that rotary movement of his upper body. But the fact that he has that big light and heavy phase is what allows that pivot of the skis. So you did a really great job of calling that out, but making sure that we tie those two things together.
Okay, thank you.
So I picked rotary because Kelby was talking about how the skis turn and there was a converging relationship. And we talked about how fast they pivoted through the top of the turn. Now, Gumby tells me people have some teach things that we need to do. So what would we do with poor Leon here? How would we make his short turn better? What should it look more like? Let's start there. Joanna, I know you're on this call. And I just saw you in Steamboat, so I know you're not afraid of talking to me.
Trying to be just nice and quiet because I know other people are going for assessments this week. What I would do with this Leon fella, as related to a couple of the fundamentals, I would focus on ideally seeing his legs rotate under his body more efficiently, under a stable upper body more efficiently, and would like to see him transferring weight to the outside ski in each of the turns more consistently through different phases of the turn.
Okay, and what's that going to make his short turn look like?
What I would like to see him do is, as he lightens the pressure underfoot at the top of the turn, to see that the feet are working together to tip at the top of the turn, and then to see him progressively flex to the shape of the turn as pressure increases through the phases of the turn.
Okay.
To get him there,
I'm not going to disagree with anything that you've said he wanted his body to do. What will that make his turn look like? What will that make his skis do?
It will help his skis remain more parallel and hoping they won't diverge. And to allow the tails to follow the tips of the skis throughout the phases of the turn, and to see that the edges are engaged simultaneously throughout the turn. And to add more rotary, meaning allowing his legs to move under more stable upper body. With prescription for change, I would progressively take him through some exercises like pivot slips. And do you want me? I don't know if you want me to say that now. In outside ski turns, pivot slips, side slips. I would take him through a progression of things that would help him move his legs independently on his upper body.
That would round the turn out.
Ah, winner, winner, chicken dinner.
That helps him too. Yeah. Well, that's the pressure. That's the lighten the load at the top of the turn, simultaneously tipping and progressively flexing through the shape.
So just lightening and progressively flexing will not make the turn rounder.
But the simultaneous tipping and legs,
the steering at
steering.
the same rate all the way around the turn will make it rounder.
Okay, I wasn't saying steering at the same rate. I was saying
He's turning his skis. You wanted him to do that. That's all good. And instead of pivoting quickly, we want the skis to tip at the same rate all the way around the turn, so that the top half and the bottom half of the turns are more similar. That would make a better looking short turn. Anybody disagree?
No, agree.
I might phrase it a little different, but I agree.
Okay.
How would you phrase it?
I would have started out saying I want the turns more round and to spend equal amount of time in each phase of the turn. So basically skiing a square
Oh, interesting. Okay. See, it's all this language.
or lack
So,
thereof.
and the reason I'm trying to get everyone to say what they want the turn to look like is when we're teaching and clinicking and going to MA or going to teach assessments or working with our people, the outcome is not body movements. The outcome is something that changes with how the skis are behaving on the snow. So if I start talking about all these ideal body movements I want him to do, yeah, I'd love him to do all of those ideal body movements, but what would that make his skis do? And then why would I want his skis to do that? Other than to get the silver pin from PSIA or get the gold pin from PSIA. There has to be a reason beyond, I read it in a textbook that this is how we're supposed to ski. So if we want him to have a rounder turn, there's lots of ways to get there. Kelby, what would you think is the most important thing he could do to make his turns rounder and still have them be short?
I would like to see an earlier edge engagement in this guy because that will get the ski to hook up sooner in the snow at the top of the turn. And if the ski hooks up soon and progressively from the top of the turn to the bottom of the turn, he's going to be using the design of the ski to create that rounded arced turn to create a shorter turn.
Yeah, if he'd use his equipment more efficiently, that would help him make a rounder turn. It would probably be easier than a lot of the work that he's doing right now. What's another way, guys, that we could help him make a rounder turn? Who else is going to exam? I will just pick on someone. I'm mean like that.
He needs to move down the fall line, move that hip into the fall line.
Explain that to me a little bit more. I'm not sure I understand what you mean by move the hip into the fall line.
It appears to me that the outside hip is lagging behind, and moving that down is going to help.
And why would that help?
It would help prevent the blocking of the turn and get you down the fall line.
So I'm going to ask a couple of questions. You said you think that his outside hip is lagging behind?
Yeah.
At the beginning of the turn,
Yes.
which leg moves first on some of his turns? The inside leg or the outside leg?
Get closer here.
Yep, get closer, stop it. Hey, Mike, if you want to stop it at a transition where it's pretty obvious to see, that would be awesome.
Yeah, it looks like yeah.
Because if he's going to make a slight wedge, And he does in a few of his turns.
Yeah.
It's probably the outside leg that moved.
There it is.
You can see
The
there.
inside ski tip is just um, yeah.
So the inside ski tip, if I have leg turning, is going to be in front of the outside ski tip from shaping through finish. If I'm turning my legs.
Yes, yes.
But when he starts that upper body rotation, he picks his shoulder and he takes his shoulder into the turn. That pulls his hip forward and around into his turn. So there's a brief moment in time where his outside hip is actually in front of his inside hip. I don't necessarily know that it's lagging. I think through the finish, he continues to rotate his hips a little bit with his upper body. Don't necessarily know that it's lagging like he's leaving a leg behind. But he does end up blocked off from the turn. You're right about that. But he ends up blocked off from the turn because he's inside the old turn and square to it. Not necessarily because the hip got left behind.
Okay.
It's almost like a hip goes too far in front.
Oh, yeah. That inside is not moving into that new turn.
Well, too much is moving into the new turn too soon. Would be a better way to describe him.
Yeah, the other thing that's noticeable too is on the left turns especially, look how wide the feet get apart as the outside ski rotates faster than the inside ski. And here they don't get quite as wide, but you can see a slight wedge forming there.
So sometimes wedges are super hard to see, guys, when the skis are on the snow, especially if they're not very big. But what's actually really easy to see is if the legs open and close.
And
So
so you can,
if the lower pant legs go apart and come together, go apart and come together, the first thing I look for is a wedge. And then I'm also then immediately looking for some kind of upper body rotation.
yep. And if you take a look at how wide the feet are here, this is further away, and look how wide those feet are.
Now, to be fair, he is not making a wedge the size of, a lot of our beginners and people who are just beginning to ski like green terrain. In fact, he probably isn't aware that he's making a wedge. It's not a wedge on purpose. It's a wedge by accident.
I got a question.
Yeah, bring it.
If he's turning his hips a little bit, is that not something similar? Upper body rotation makes things happen. Hips a little further down, it's not at the feet, are doing that. But we're not down on the skis. Would the ankles improve that?
So in alpine skiing, the pelvis, so the hip area, is considered part of the upper body. So if you mean by flexing his ankles, would it improve that? That might
Correct.
improve his fore aft positioning, but it wouldn't necessarily have an effect on whether his hips rotated or not.
Okay.
He starts it with his shoulders and follows with his hips. And that makes his legs and skis turn when his body realigns.
So
So
we ought to be instead working from the ground up, shouldn't we?
which would mean he would need to turn what?
His legs, his feet.
Yeah, his feet and legs.
Yeah.
Underneath a stable upper body, because holding the stability in the upper body, which does not, just to be clear, does not mean it doesn't move. It means stable. If he held stability there, it would allow for more movement in his lower body. So if we want to start from the skis up, which I think is a great idea, and we want him to turn his legs, what are some things that we could do that would help him learn to turn his legs? Kelby, what's something that you think this person could do that would be helpful? A single exercise.
And pivot slips, that's an easy one. But I think also wedge turns. Have him slow down his skiing so he understands that he's turning that outside ski before the inside ski. If he could feel it in a slow moving, I guess, a different type of pattern, that might set him up for some different success.
So to change an understanding
Yeah.
before changing a movement,
Yeah.
that's always a good idea. Mike, what's something you would have him do?
Actually, I would follow Kelby's theory here, and I would slow down to a wedge turn. I'd have him follow me through rounded turns to spend equal amounts of time in each turn, in each part of the turn, and gradually start making those more parallel, basic parallel turns.
Awesome. Jerry, what is something you could do with this skier that would help him learn to turn his legs?
Probably break it down in parts. Maybe a J turn and work on the bottom of the turn and do something to like a patience turn to get him started into the turn lightly.
Okay, and what would you be having him pay attention to in a patient's turn?
The starting of the turn to pay attention to the ski doing the work.
And what makes the ski do the work?
When you have it weighted properly, 4.5.
And how is standing on it going to teach him how to turn his legs?
The patient's turn would be just the start of it to get him started into the turn. The J turn would be more rounding the turns out at the bottom.
Okay, so you think the J turn would be more effective?
J turn would be more effective in rounding out the turns.
And what is he going to notice in his body that would be different than an upper body rotation?
He's going to be able to be balanced over the ski forward and aft to direct pressure to the ski throughout the turn.
Okay. So, my friend, I can stand in the middle of my ski. I can direct all of my pressure to my outside ski, and I will go in a straight line.
He's going to have rotation he's going to have to steer the skis throughout the turn.
Cool. Where is he going to feel that steering?
Through the
like, what part of his body? Is he going to feel it in his shoulders, in his hands, in his core, in his knees, in his feet?
It's more of a feet and core type movement.
Okay, so he's probably going to feel his feet moving and steering the ski.
Yes.
That would be a great thing to pay attention to. Whether we're paying, because like Kelby wanted him to notice which foot was going first in the wedge turns.
Okay.
Mike wanted him to feel how long the legs turned in each half of the turn when he was following. What's another exercise that could help him create an awareness of leg turning?
Wedge Christie's.
Okay.
Yeah.
What would you have him pay attention to?
Well, I would end up having start with the wedges and then do the red, and then go into the Christies, which ends up, or for me, it gets him thinking about what he has been doing to what we're now doing, and as those Christies are happening, for the inside to be able to slide to be parallel, he's going to have to put that weight on the outside while keeping his center mass up equally. And then as he comes out of the next one, has to turn that back out to the wedge for the opposite. So it ends up helping him, I think about what he's doing.
Okay. So we're focusing a lot on the balance piece. But what we really need him to do is learn to turn his legs. So like in a wedge Christie, there is a time where one leg turns faster than the other, especially through the match. And if maybe I pay attention to how much I have to turn that leg to get it to match, like do a wedge Christie really, really slowly so that it's a purposeful match rather than an accidental match because of the speed. So I really have to pay attention to how much I have to twist one foot more than the other to get the match. That could be a way to actually get at the rotary part of this. Anybody else got something that they think could help him feel leg turning?
Hi, I just was thinking, I usually have my students walk through all stages of the turn and like see what their outside foot is doing and inside foot doing, and then connecting through all phases of the turn. I have them follow me and say, okay, this run we're going to focus on outside ski I want you to focus on your weight in the beginning of the turn to be in the beginning of your ski, shaping turn of the turn. I want you to be more in the center to feel your weight, and then feel it more like at the bottom of the turn, feel it like in the under the ankle towards the end of your heel, and like just have them follow me shaping their turns. And one run we focus on outside ski and have them out see where the weight is, and then switch and have focus to have their inside ski and feel where their weight is, so they can understand the whole difference throughout all phases of the turn.
When you
So I think that's actually a really interesting idea about having them step through a turn.
So
'Cause that
first, it's first progression. I would have them step throughout the turn so they can move their feet like and see how they rotate through all stages of the turn, just focusing on their body counter, like, you know, so they're not moving upper body, just the feet rotating under the stable upper body. So just do a couple stationary like kind of exercises without skis, see what's going on, then have them put skis on and walk with the skis, and then start like focusing on outside or inside ski first, so they can understand their balance, what's happening with their weight throughout all stages of the turn. So maybe it's too much to focus on both skis, but at least so they can understand what's happening inside ski, where the weight is through all stages of the turns.
So stepping through the turn, focusing on both the inside leg steering, the outside leg steering, because we have to do both of those things when we turn our legs. Those are great ways to get at that. Somebody in the comments said pivot slips or hockey stops. Also, great things to focus specifically on the leg steering. Hey guys, what about wedge wiggles? Anyone had to do those yet? Where you have a little wedge and it goes like this, and you're just going in a straight run and you point the wedge a little bit one way and a little bit the other and a little bit the other. You're not really even making a turn. So it's just coming from adjusting your legs from the lower part of your body. You can even go this. This is leg turning as well. So a wedge change up where I go from wedge to parallel and I try and keep a consistent stance width. All of those are sensations for doing leg turning. There's all sorts of things you guys do every day. Who does bow ties with their beginners? What's a bow tie teach you to do? Teaches you to turn your leg.
Rotary.
Anytime I make a wedge, I've turned one leg against the other leg. So you guys do lots of it. Who's done boot arcs? Where you actually draw like a shape in the snow with your boot and you draw like half circles. That's leg turning too. Anybody ever stand on furniture movers and try and twist your legs back and forth?
Without using your hips.
Yeah, without using your hips. Sometimes it's easier to do one leg at a time.
So truthfully, a wedge is a perfectly balanced rotation of both legs.
They're just going in opposite directions. So those are all different things that we could use to get this guy to feel some leg turning and to change some understandings of what's supposed to happen. What if I took those pivot slips and I started adding just the tiniest amount of edge? Would it still be pivot slipping? Or would it start to make little tiny drifty, skiddy, slidey, slippy turns?
It would start making turns.
Yeah, because that's what happens when we do pivot slips badly, right? We make little turns instead of going straight down the fall line. So Kelby, you wanted to change this guy's edging. What are some things you would do in the edging realm?
If we wanted to keep it basic, we could go do garlands. We could do railroad tracks. We could do a guided uphill arc.
What else could we do? Mike, you have to come up with something crazy.
Something other than dead start turns.
Yeah, for edging.
Well,
You're-
you got to
you're
get
not
off the
allowed to
bloody
use
edge
outside
before you can
turns.
get on the edge. No, if we're just playing with strictly edging, it might be interesting to skate into the turn.
Yeah, because what do I have to do to skate? I have to get an effective edge that's gripping the snow, don't I?
What about side slipping to initiate the turn?
He's doing that now with his pivot.
How about side slipping to end the turn? So instead of having a hard edge set at the bottom. So what about a stork turn?
I originally thought stork turn, and I went with the wedge Chrissy, but I had thought about the stork because that's putting the weight on the one ski, and if you're doing the turn to have the edge while you're picking that other ski up. I mean, I thought about that. I just didn't go with it to begin with.
How about starting his turns with a wedge and right after the turn is started, pick up the inside ski?
Yeah.
How about a reverse javelin?
Does this guy look like he's ready for reverse javelins?
Everybody's ready for reverse javelins.
It was ironic. A lot of folks are like, looked at the task and went, "What is a reverse javelin?" They've never even heard of it here.
How about shuffles? Shuffle
Shuffle.
turns.
How about 1,000 steps? Making sure I land on the correct edge. Yep, somebody got.
1,000 steps would it get his mind working in a different direction.
It might.
It might actually have him focus because he's doing the steps the whole time. So it's changed his thinking process, which might actually help everything.
Sometimes if the task is too easy, we don't adjust anything we're doing to create a new sensation.
She was talking about walking through the turns earlier, and I thought that's what she meant is 1,000 steps when she was saying walking through the turns. I might be wrong on what she was describing.
I assumed from her description that she was talking about flatland, walking through the turns.
Got it. Okay.
But yeah, that would be a natural progression to go from walking through the turns to 1,000 steps or shuffling.
Because she said that they were going to follow her, and I just assumed there was going to be movement involved with on skis. So
So Kelby, in the wedge turn, or wait, what were you going to have him do for edging? Sorry, I forgot.
I said garlands or railroad tracks.
Okay. How is that if we go back to the idea we want him to have more of a shape to his turn, it be round. You talked a lot about his magnitude in your initial MA. How are you going to tie that task to both of those things?
I also said carved uphill arcs. Or was guided, I said, but I meant
You said
carved.
both.
Carved. And I think I prefer doing a carved uphill arc with this guy because that will incorporate the magnitude and the tipping. Carved uphill arc, patience turn.
Ooh, almost come to a stall and then go back down.
Mm-hmm.
Or the option of starting with J turns and end the J part with the carved uphill arc.
Yeah,
This way you
that could
can
be really
spend
fun
time
to
in the
tie
fall
both of
line.
those together. So, as a thought, I just posted it in the chat. It's one of the Nordica videos from PSIA. If everyone could go to 12 minutes and 55 seconds. We have some level 2 short turns. They don't spend a lot of time in. Sorry. Apparently Ozempic wants us to all... And the reason I'm putting this up is to see what kind of turn shapes, what do they actually look like?
It's more of a comma shape.
Yeah, the ones they're making are more of a comma shape, aren't they?
Just kind of like short, quick, and tight.
They were short, quick, and tight. But there was never a spot where the skis stopped moving. The skis moved around the turn, through transition, they moved forward through the transition, and then around the turn again. So there was never a point where there was like super heavy pressure spike, like towards the bottom of the turn, which is what we saw in our first guy. Their skis are turning almost as fast as his were. Their corridor is a quarter as wide. So there wasn't like a big braking movement towards the bottom. Does that give people a better idea of what they were supposed to be seeing when they were looking at Leon?
Yes. I was actually watching that last week, but the being able to see what the turn should be, and I imagine that's what they'll do with on snow if I ever get to that point.
Yeah. Because right here, like his skis turn as fast as theirs do. But then there's kind of a spot where they don't really move as much. They almost kind of skid to a stop, especially when he's turning to the right. His tails go down the hill, kind of stops moving, and then it goes forward again into the next turn. If I have an image in my head of what a good short turn looks like, it's then much easier to look at the short turn I'm seeing and see a difference.
If he was to speed up a little bit, would that help him a little bit?
No. I think his movement pattern would be exactly the same.
Okay.
So Kelby, if you're going to MA, what is it that you need to be most helpful for right now?
I really need to focus speaking more about the ski first because I know that's what they want to hear.
Okay.
I think it's there, but it's just not as much as I'd like.
I just threw another one in the chat, Dion, if you want to try that one.
Okay.
And it's a bump skier.
Oh, I'm pretty sure I skied this run at Steamboat this past week. It had more sticks on it.
As a matter
So,
of fact, Dion, at the end, if you could talk about your experience at the Women's Summit, that would be awesome.
oh, of course I can. It is something I highly recommend if you ever have the opportunity to do, ladies, that you go do it. So Kelby, this would be fall line bumps.
The skier is not skiing fall line bumps.
Okay, so that is a great place to start. Are we doing the task? Because what should be happening?
Skier should be controlling the ski's rotation with leg rotation separate from the upper body, going straight down the fall line, preferably within one cat track.
Well, I would hope for a lot more turns too.
Mm-hmm.
I know it probably gets flat right by the camera there.
They do look like some harder bumps. You see everything from a long radius turn to a short radius to a medium. In the long radius turns, you can really see the skier traverse across the hill. So that tells me that the skis during the long radius turn, they turn very quickly at the top of the turn due to the upper body rotation. Then at the bottom half of the turn, through the shaping and the finish, the skis rotate together very slowly. And the upper body squares up. You can see that outside ski and turn before the inside ski at the top of the turn. And I can identify that because that outside ski gets on a higher edge angle than the inside ski at the top of the turn. And the skis pretty much do the same thing. I mean, that inside ski has to turn and tip very abruptly during the shaping phase to get that inside ski around. You can see the skiers mostly bending the ski from behind the binding because you see the tips more than the tails throughout most of the turn. Do you want me to add in body?
Yep. And link the body to the individual fundamentals. So tell me what the body is doing that makes the ski performances you just described.
So you can see the upper body rotating at the top of each turn, and that causes the outside ski to turn before the inside ski. Then there's a moment where the upper body does face downhill during the shaping, but it is not long. And then as the skier moves into the finish and the skis slowly rotate together, the upper body becomes square to the skis and across the hill. Due to the outside ski rotating before the inside ski, the outside ski goes on a higher edge angle, and that skier displaces the outside leg. She straightens it, and then speaking ski to ski, due to the leg straightening, the body inclines up the hill, so that puts more pressure on the inside ski. So she has just lost the ability to direct pressure to the outside ski throughout all three phases, which means she loses the ability to control the edge angles through a combination of inclination and angulation. Let's see. What I miss? Oh, fore aft. So I can tell the ski's bending from behind through the majority of the turn because she's got an open ankle joint, flexed knee joint, and the hip joint, I would say it opens and closes depending on where she's at on the bump.
So is her absorption coming through her legs or through her upper body?
The upper body.
So she's
You know,
tockling.
I'm not sure, honestly. I'm not sure. I think it's the upper body.
So
Because she's not bringing the legs to her chest. She's just
do you see how I stopped it right there? And she kind of looks like she's bent over at the waist. She kind of is forming a taco shape.
Yeah.
So she kind of runs into the bump. And right there, the ankles have opened up.
So is the hips.
So are the hips. We've moved way back. Our skis are kind of running away from us for a second. And I think that's actually why she's not able to turn there, is because literally her skis shot out from under her. But she's fighting for it. But then, as you see right there, the ankle's not completely open anymore. And right there, we actually have a fair amount of shin angle. So there's definitely times where she's not controlling her ankles very well. Like when the bump drops away, she opens her ankles a lot, which might be fine as a tactic to drop the fronts of the skis back down. But then she doesn't extend the knees at the same time to move to keep up with her skis. So her skis shoot out from under her. And when they get too far in front, then she's in a really poor anatomical position to turn her legs or manage her edge angles. You're completely correct. She ends up inclined, she ends up back. It's really hard to use your legs if they're busy holding you up to turn your skis or to edge them. And as we see, her first move, right here, it's not so bad, right? Looks pretty good. Her first move is to actually open her upper body and drop into the new turn. And as soon as she does this, her skis start to shoot away from her as they drop off the bump. And here she actually does a pretty good job of trying to get back on top, and makes a really pivoty kind of turn where she pushes her legs out from under her. So you actually gave pretty good descriptions of the skis that time.
It looks like she doesn't really have a line picked out.
She might not have a line picked out. She might be going just trying, like,
Well, it's as she kind of described, it's kind of a runaway freight train about half the time. So when the skis are not underneath you anymore, really kind of hard to do anything except huck your body from one turn to the next, which is what she's tending to do for the most part.
going down the hill.
She's going down the hill. Guess you could call it that.
I put one in here. This is lane changes is the task.
Well, hold on before we go to that. Kelby, the only thing I haven't heard from you is the prescription for change.
Oh,
So with the bump skier, I'd like to see.
Just pick two fundamentals.
Oh, rotary and fore aft.
I think those are appropriate.
So going into the description, what I'd like to see is the skier control the ski's rotation with leg rotation separate from the upper body, which will help the skier control the center of mass to the base of support to direct pressure along the length of the ski. This will ideally help the skier create rounded shape turns that will go down the fault line, and she'll be using her equipment efficiently.
Do you want me to close this?
oh, sure. That'd be great. Thank you.
I'm not gonna vacuum and go
Is that
I'm going to be here for
that's
like 10
fore
minutes.
aft? What about rotation?
Control the skis steering with leg rotation separate from the upper body.
Sure. Something a little bit more descriptive than that, please. Give me a body movement that's going to be important.
So I'd like to see the legs steer underneath her throughout all three phases. The femur will be rotating to steer the skis.
Like the
So,
fact that you included a body part, Kelby. Like the femur specifically. Want her to rotate her femurs underneath her pelvis to help steer the legs. Because that is just a little bit more specific and it allows for a better picture.
Okay.
So if my fore aft is off, if I'm aft, what does that do to my ability to turn my legs?
You can, but it's very hard.
It's really hard. So that's the other piece I would put in there for your prescription for change. If we could get her to balance, then she'd be in a much better biomechanical position to turn her legs. Like the fore aft is going to, it just gives her the option to use her other skills rather than limiting her. So making sure we tie those two things together. Why is the fore aft important to the rotary, or why is the rotary important to the fore aft? Whichever way your brain views it, I tend to view it fore aft enables rotary, but however it best suits you. Gumby or Mike, do you have questions for Kelby?
I thought that was a pretty good explanation. I really liked the description of what you were watching. Again, like I said, in the group that we had, there was a lot of times where people just forgetting about their prescription for change. So don't forget that piece. You know, what do we do? What are we doing now? What would you like to see? And then how can you tie them together? That's going to be a really important part. And like, you know, Dione said, give me some body parts. I love it when you talk to me about the body, right? I think that's going to be for this coming, that you say something about the body.
Okay.
A good side of now,
It's okay.
twisting her upper
Jim
body
Shaw
with
yelled at me
strength,
this
swaying to an
afternoon
outside
about
team.
talking about the body. I'm like, he's like, tell me about the
Well,
body. I'm like, lift your leg to lift your ski off the ground. He goes, that's not any different than telling me to lift my ski. And I'm like, I don't know what you
yes,
want.
yes,
He
but
wanted to
it
hear
is,
about how the upper body aligned, and I didn't talk
right.
about it.
Yeah.
So
Well, what
being
I'm
body
saying is,
specific is
yeah, be body specific, but also tie in what's happening to the ski. How's that relating back to the ski?
Mm-hmm.
Right. So I liked when you said she's using a lot of body, which is causing the outside ski to move first or turn first or blah, 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 blah. But that's an accurate description, right? I don't have to know anymore. Right. So I liked it for the most part. I think you're really kind of on cue right now. So yeah,
We'll see
just
if I can get on the
execute,
spot.
I mean,
just execute, right?
I like where you're coming from too, Kelby. What Chuck says is be body specific, and you were identifying a body part. I would also encourage the closest available or the closest joint or set to the body part, because that's going to be involved at some point or another. And the part that was really scary to me was I was sitting here thinking to myself, well, they really need some rotary and some 4F stuff. And I'm thinking that to myself, and then you cloned my thoughts, and then it got intimidating to me.
uh-oh. You were reading Mike's mind. Don't get lost in there, Kelby.
Yeah,
Try not to.
trust Dion. Do not get caught in my head.
That's the dark side of the moon, man. Don't go there.
I'm not
Hey,
sure the rainbow prism would come out of it, so.
so hey, we only got a couple of minutes left. Dion, do you want to describe your experience at Steamboat?
Well, my experience was fantastic. There were 180 ladies there for the Women's Summit, which was earlier this week. It was Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. It was actually 3 very full days. We were on snow the last day from 8 until 4 because they gave us early ups at Steamboat. So we got a run on the mountain before the public came up. It was lovely. The snow was variable. It was rock solid in the morning, deep slush in the afternoon at the base, and the top never did thaw out.
Called
So-
Eastern conditions.
It was beautiful eastern conditions with all the shrubbery you can imagine in the bumps. It was absolutely fantastic to ski with such a huge group of ladies who are all in our industry of all different ages, with so many wonderful clinicians who really went out of their way to meet the individual needs of their group and to be supportive of all of the learning that was going on. One of our employees, Vaughn, went. Her last PSI experience was not positive. And she found a whole bunch of camaraderie. She said so much of it was not about skiing. It was about all of the connections and the different ways you can build connections that just happen to be on snow. They talked a lot about being a leader from a place where you might be emotionally vulnerable. So not necessarily having to come into a lesson or a clinic setting or a training as the ultimate authority. So, and it made for very collaborative, open communication. So instead of a clinician just laying out exactly what we were going to do every moment of the day, there was input from the group as to where things went. And I skied and skied and skied. I got to ski with a former national team member. And we picked themes that built throughout the 3 days for the different kinds of terrain we went into. I then went to a boot fitting on snow boot fitting seminar where we looked at simple changes you can make in the moment that aren't permanent that affect boot fit, as far as like she handed out cargo straps and you strapped your liner underneath your shell, you strapped your liner tighter to your leg. Which I buckle my boots pretty tight. Doing that, I had to actually buckle my boots one notch tighter because there was just that much more room in my shell. So it was a really easy thing to do to create more contact between your lower leg and your shell. And of course, then we, had appetizers and drinks 2 nights. But it was a fantastic time, and everyone at Steamboat was really welcoming. And I've been pondering the difference between that event and other events I've gone to, because I've had some wonderful clinicians, both male and female. But here we are in less than ideal conditions, and it felt more open to trying things I wasn't sure I could do and not being successful without feeling penalized by my lack of success. So, and I've been trying to figure out since I went why that atmosphere was so different versus been to other events and we've had great groups of people and had a fantastic time, but you still have that feeling in your gut when they ask you to do something in some place you're not really comfortable and you're like, I don't know that I can do this. Like, I don't know that I will be successful. I don't know that I know how to do it. And I think that's probably the biggest difference that I find at women's events is that openness to putting yourself out there as a group. And nobody's rated based on how well they do a task. And each person's successes are so celebrated at the level that that person was able to achieve it.
Thank you for being vulnerable and talking about it. I know that, Rebecca, didn't you just go to a women's summit on the East?
No, she was at the same one.
Actually,
She
I
was at the
got
same.
to see Dione below the neck.
Cool. What was your
and,
experience then?
So Joanne was there, Erica was there, Dione, and I don't know if anybody else. And I totally agree with Dione. I think I just posted something on the chat. One of the most wonderful things that I feel in women's events that I don't always get at co-ed events is the camaraderie and how we really encourage each other, push each other to succeed in a very non-competitive way. That you don't always get at other events where everyone is kind of one-upping each other. In my group, there was a real bonding of yay, getting everybody to succeed. And I have to say, I got in, did bumps and trees that I don't think I ever had done before. And the day after the event, we went back to the bumps and trees and just with another member of my group. And we just said, okay, talk to each other, we can do this. So I think there is a difference in tone at women's events that you don't always get at other PSIA events. I don't know if that is kind
Well, I
of
think that's cool. Thank you for sharing. Hey, it's 8:30, everybody. Kelby, we'll pull it
Right.
for you.
Yeah, good luck, Kelby, and I'm gonna sign off. I'm
Thank
still
you.
I got home at 3 a.m. or 4 a.m.
Thanks
So it was
everyone for
totally
letting
worth
me
it.
talk tonight.
I think that's great that you did, and I'll encourage you. Do you own any last words?
No, Kelby, you got this. Believe in yourself, stay organized, sell what you know.
We're
Well,
going
we'll
to be
see if
putting
I
all the
can
positive vibes.
we'll see
All
if
the
I can get
positive.
into the MA. I was too late signing up online, but people suggested just call the office and see if there's space. So we'll see. If I get in, it's meant to be. If I don't, then next season.
Fingers crossed.
Fingers
Fingers
crossed.
crossed.
Good luck.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, everybody, for coming.
Okay.
Thank you, Dione, for hosting.
Thank you.
Have a
Thanks,
great night.
Dion, for
Thanks
hosting.
for putting up with my technical difficulties, guys.
Dion, I
Thanks
got
for
a
letting me
question about
join
the
you all.
boots,
Yeah.
about your boot clinic. So I think the boots that I'm in right now are too stiff. Is there anything that I can do between now and Tuesday?
So you can try taking a bolt out of the back.
Okay. All right.
Another thing to do is loosen up your power strap just a little bit.
Okay.
If your power strap is inside your plastic, put it outside because that makes a difference. It really does stiffen up the boot when the power strap is inside the plastic.
Okay.
If you have a solid power strap rather than a booster strap that has elastic in it, the solid ones are stiffer. The booster straps have some stretch to them.
Okay.
And so it gives a more consistent flex. Whereas the solid ones can actually like stop the flex.
Okay.
To be completely honest, making a change to your setup that close to exam may not be beneficial.
Yeah.
So try something for like a half a day and see if you notice a difference. Their recommendation was to do one boot and not the other so that you have a side-by-side comparison
Okay.
of what you're feeling. And it really was noticeable when you would make a small change and you did it to just one leg and not the other. You could feel the difference. Whereas when you just change both legs, you're not quite sure what you're feeling. So maybe try it with one boot, see if you like the way it flexes better. And then you can always put the bolt back in.
It's
Okay.
this is from a boot fitter as well. It's not just you got to pull the bolt, but you actually got to pull your bladder out. There is a metal sleeve that is inside the bolt hole, and you got to pull the metal nut on the inside of the boot out of there so that the cuff can flex, and you can gain about 7% softness out of the boot with one removing the one bolt. But you got to pull both the bolt and the nut out of there.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah, otherwise it just keeps it held together.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
That's really the quickest way from a boot fitter to soften the flex of a boot.
I'm
Well, it
kind of
could
with
just
Dione
be,
though. I would be very reluctant to make a change right before the exam
yeah.
because it will mess up your dirt.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And it could just be I have, I mean, my fore aft problem. Like to blame it on the equipment.
It's always the equipment.
It's
Ask
always
any
the
golfer.
equipment.
Always. The
It's
reason
not
I
me. I don't know
can't
what you're talking
ski,
about.
it's my equipment.
Hmm.
That's
Right,
my
Mike?
problem too.
Yeah. It's the reason we don't have upper lower body separation for aft ski to ski. That's why I'm too inclined. It's always my equipment. It's never operator error.
Yeah.
And if we could get the equipment balanced for our biomechanics, we wouldn't have these issues. But they just make generic equipment.
Mm-hmm. Well, thank you so much, guys. Thanks for letting me practice tonight, and I'll let you know how things go.
We'll be waiting to hear, Kelby.
Yep. You
It's
got
gonna
this.
be
You
great.
crush it.
I'm
Sending
just
all
gonna
the
be
good
great.
vibes your way.
I'm just gonna go and have fun. No
Yeah.
stress.
We love
Best
you.
Yeah.
way.
So, yeah.
We
Yep.
love you, kid. Go get it.
Thanks. Bye.
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 Bye.